G'day, welcome. Early Crow episode, I don't know again, but it's going to be a big one. James McDonald joins us, Dan Bowman joins us, Paps and I, Pratty, with you throughout. We're going to kick off this week's episode with a catch-up with our man, James McDonald. J-Mac, welcome back. How are you?
How are you guys? All good?
Yeah, good,
I'm
mate.
good. No one's looking fresher than T. Papley, though. You can tell the season's getting close. He's just... What do you say to him? Like, what's the order?
I thought he got the haircut for get it fixed for the slipper. That's what I thought he got the haircut for. I don't think he worries about the pre-season training anymore.
No, don't worry, I'll be getting one for that. Don't you worry. I'll do another sharpen up for that.
When's the run?
Going to the Todman. We're looking towards the size and the champagne rather than the slipper. But if he goes alright in the Todman, we'll maybe reassess. See how we go.
Just for the young blokes out there, though, Tom, who are looking to like sort of cement their spot, maybe first grade, or they've done a big pre-season, a couple of big pracky games coming up, they need to deliver, and they want to get the T. Papley special. What are they ordering at the barber?
Just skin fade, just a little bit higher than usual, then just keep the mohawk, mate, all the same length. Cheers.
And I'll have a latte with two sugars, please. Thanks, mate.
Maybe soda water.
J-Mac, big weekend, Romantic Warrior, what a win. What a horse.
Yeah, he's a star, isn't he? He's a gorilla, he's a beast. He's just gets the job done. He's a bit like a little Paps on the field, isn't he? He's short,
Tenacious.
stocky, and just runs hard.
Did
what we
you
like
feel
about
like
him,
you were like there to be beat that last sort of 200?
No, not really. I actually, from the 300 onwards, he was always going to win. He once he gets ahead in front, there's not very often he gets beat very often. And so there was probably that worrying moment between the 500 to the 400 where I didn't have a lot of room and was just navigating a path. And once I got that split at the 400, he was always going to be strong late. Especially having ridden the second horse. He was second time at 2000, so we're always going to be probably a tad stronger than him. But to be fair, he exceeded my expectations. I thought he ran unbelievably well. Such a good horse as well. So,
Where would you rank
good
that
clash.
on your Romantic Warrior rides? Not your performance, obviously another peach, but like the performance from the animal. Where's that one?
gee, really good question. I reckon the Cox Plate was probably the toughest victory he's had because of everything he had to go through. And he wasn't right, to be fair, and he got the job done, only just though, but to be fair, winners win, don't they? So
Yep.
that performance was gritty as well. His probably last three performances have been gritty, but his Hong Kong Cup, his first one, was sensational. Like racehorses don't really do that on the racetrack very often, and yeah, I've had 6 wins on him now, and geez, I've enjoyed every single one. To be fair.
I bet you have. Last time we spoke, you were going to do a 6-week stint in Hong Kong or a 5-week stint. How did all that play out? How was it? What was it like having the family over there?
Mate, it was
Highlights, lowlights.
unreal. Really good time over there, and it's opened so many doors as those little things can happen. You just never know in this game. Like you just got to take opportunities when they come, don't they? And that was one. Even though it was a short time, but I managed to secure the ride on Voyage Bubble. Won a Group 1 on him 3 weeks ago, so that worked out in its favour, and we had a brilliant time. We were up there for Christmas and New Year's, and the nightlife was fantastic. Like obviously they love their Christmas and New Year's over there, and the racing was good with the international meeting, and we had so many expats come over and visit us over that little period, so it didn't even feel like we were away for that long. But mate, it was an extremely good time, and got back for Magic Millions, which was just all like the timing of it was just brilliant, perfect.
Do you think is D Lane a bit of an inspiration to that? Because I'm obviously not as old or experienced as you guys in the sport, but he sort of did that Japan thing, and then he landed like some of those grouse rides when they came over for the big carnival races here.
Yeah, well, probably Hong Kong's a little bit different. because the Hong Kong horses don't really travel, so we won't see any of them in the autumn carnival or spring carnival, so to speak. Romantic Warrior was probably an exception, and that was just by fluke probably. But now it's opened doors. Like I'm going back for Lucky Sway S in 2 weeks' time, so that's another pretty good ride. And so yeah, it's just little windows that have opened up over the time, and I don't think without doing that 5-week stint, those rides wouldn't have come about, you know.
Tactically, what's different from the tippy top in Hong Kong to the tippy top in Sydney or a Melbourne Spring?
Mate, pretty similar. The races are run a little bit quicker. The horses are a lot evener, so there's obviously less mistakes is crucial. Where if you're on a good horse in Australia,
we'll get to that later on. That's the steer job we saw a couple of weeks ago.
You can ride them accordingly. Where over there, every inch counts, and you've got to take percentages, take that out of equations. Where you just ride to percentage and just get them to clear air, and if they're good enough, they'll win. But over there, you actually have to ride. You have to ride properly in terms of giving them every chance, saving ground, riding for luck at times, even if you don't get it. But the margins, because of the handicap system, the margins are very, very minor. And as you can see, there's not much from first to last most meetings, unless there's an issue with a runner. But it's so competitive there. And you know, the other thing is you got all those international jockeys, France, Italians, South Africans, Mauritians. They've all got a different styles. You just don't know what's coming, you know. So where over here you can sort of know every rider and what they like to do and what they don't like to do.
Golf courses, is a lifestyle for a participant in Hong Kong, I'm assuming it's a fair bit better than in Australia, because it's not as saturated your week with like track work, jump outs, get to these different joints.
Yeah, it's definitely different. You're right. You ride track work every morning, but you only ride the horses that you're basically riding coming up on race day. So that's probably a tick, and then it's probably 2 or 3, and you set the time. So if you want to start at 7:30, you start at 7:30, and the next one's at 7:45. If you want to start at 6:30, you start at 6:30. But the trials, there's only 5 probably heats, where there's 20 here or 18 here. So no travel. Restaurants are fantastic. The golf courses are brilliant. So in terms of that, racing twice a week, it's pretty easy. It is a good lifestyle for a jockey for sure.
So you can see the appeal to the big boys that end up trying to go there and make a thing of it.
Oh, 100%. Like you see Huey now, like he's loving it. Only had dinner with him on Sunday night, and he's definitely staying put, and he loves it there. The kids are settled, and he was lucky. He sent them to an international school here, and then he fitted straight into the Hong Kong lifestyle. So, both family and him are enjoying it immensely. Yeah.
If Romantic Warrior came to this year's Cox Plate, and Fangirl's running in this year's Cox Plate, wowee, what are we doing? Because that was the closest thing to Winx I've seen. That, like, what did that feel like?
Yeah, it was good. Hopefully she could do it again this Saturday. She looks unreal, mate. Like, I just can't believe how good she's come back, you know. Like, she's physically just improved.
He's a habit of doing that, Uncle Chris, hey? Like, the really good mares just get better the older they get.
Yeah, he doesn't overtax them, eh? 3 or 4 runs each preparation, and then just sets them a target and pulls up stunts. Probably she was a little of an exception with the Champion Stakes, but in saying that, she pulled up really well, but that was a farcical run race, and we just couldn't make ground, so it was a bit of a give run. But her performance the other day, it was definitely, dare you say it, like a Winx performance, and like I say, like those sort of horses, you can just pull to the outside and just give them a clear run, and they'll do it, you know.
Is a Cox Plate on the horizon? I think she started 750 in last year's Cox Plate. She's returned as good as she's ever gone in her life.
I reckon a good indication, Dicko, will be how she performs in a Queen Elizabeth. I reckon that will be a really good line, because obviously 2000 in the autumn's probably perfect for her. Randwick she loves, and she'll be probably taking on a couple of Japanese runners that I'm hearing that's coming over. So it'll be a good bit of a yardstick for her. See where she measures up. But in saying that, she was pretty unlucky last year, wasn't she? So she deserves a chance, and like I keep saying, that she's 5 years old. This is prime time for her, so she's not going to get much better, you know.
When you had your few weeks stint in Hong Kong, did they give you an agent, or did you have to do your own? Because, as we know, you've got the top dog here in Australia doing the work for you. How'd you go doing your own stuff?
Gee, that's a rap from far out. Top dog. No, we've got a manager over there. So what happens? So the club actually are pretty good to you. So because of the handicap system, you don't really. If you get thrown to the wolves a little bit, you probably get lost because of the how it all works. So they give you a manager for 3 months, and then he did a brilliant job. Actually, Billy Wong's his name. He's champion guy. Did a marvellous job, and he's supposed to teach you how to work out all the conditions, and because certain horses have trump cards to get into a race. If they get balloted 1 week, they definitely get first call next week, and then the weight scale as well. So yeah, so it's a little bit to wrap your head around, but when you got a good guy like Billy, he works it all out for you, and he speaks the lingo as well, so it helps.
What about on Sunday, past the winning post first time, when you just big dog Zach? Did he lean over and say anything to you?
Well, he big dogged me in the first, in a class 5, so I thought I'll give it back to him in the big one. So he's a good sport. We actually sit right next to each other in the locker room, and he said after the first on Kimberley, when I hit the front probably a tad early, and he ran me down. He said, "Just out muscled you, son." And then I thought, oh, well, hopefully early in the day before Romantic Warrior, because I obviously didn't want to leave it that late, but hopefully we'll get on the board, and we actually had some good little tussles all day, to be fair. I think he beat me in the first, and then I got up on him on Romantic, which was a good one to get up on him.
When you sit on a horse like Romantic or Fangirl, is it when you get aboard them that it just feels different, or is it when that push comes to shove and you're in the straight, or you're going around the bend and you're asking them to click up, that it just feels different?
Nah, when you hop on them, mate, it's just a different. You know what? Yeah, I don't know. In terms of, Pat would know, like in terms of footy, you know, when you got maybe a big game, look, there's butterflies or there's nerves, but leading, I suppose, when you run out onto the field or something. But by the time you put the foot on there, like I get legged up. I'm like, man, this is the real deal. Like, this is cool, man. And once we get out there, it's all good. But mate, there's nothing better than getting legged up on a horse like that, and especially when they grow an inch when they canter to the start. You know, you're on like Animo was a classic example. He was an absolute beast when you got legged on him, and you just knew you were unbeatable half the time, you know.
So you get excited. You get as excited when you jump on a horse. Yeah,
especially when the crowd's on you, and they're willing you on as much as you want to win as well. So you half grow a league as well. So it's good. It's a really good feeling.
What about the 2-year-olds coming up, J-Mac? You've obviously you ride Stormboy this weekend, are you? You're on Stormboy?
Yeah, he was my second option. I tried to get a fix, couldn't get on him, so had to go to Stormboy. And he's a pretty good replacement, I suppose. But he's going well. He's another one that, he's a real deal, I suppose, of what he's done.
It's fascinating every year, isn't it? Like what the format of that Magic Millions race does. There's a big rap on it this year, but Spywire ran third and got pantsed on Saturday in the Blue Diamond.
Yeah, but he did.
He can't Spywire up. So.
I'm just saying.
I think he got beat 6 with a good run in the Magic Millions, and then he got beat only probably 4.5 or something, 5, setting the pace the other day. So maybe if you draw a line through that, it's still pretty good for Stormboy. But he's in the right camp, I suppose, to get him to a grand final, and especially 2-year-old racing and Golden Slipper. And mate, he's just a monster. Like he's just bigger than everything. He's stronger than everything. He knows he's an absolute beast as well. He's another one that when he walks into the gates, you just feel unbeatable on him because he just powers out and then he just wants to keep galloping, So incredible feeling for a racehorse, and
Adrian and Gay are having like one of the most sustained runs of like dominance in 2-year-old racing I've seen.
Yeah, no, incredible run, and I think they'll probably end up with, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 in the Golden Slippers, which is incredible, isn't it? So, I suppose they all can't lead, though. That's probably a question mark.
I can't remember a 2-year-old dominance like this since Snowden's, when they had Sepoy and Helmet, and they won all the Group 1s of the 2-year-olds that season.
Yeah, they said Hawksey about 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, they said they had an incredible amount of 2-year-old winners, like 60-something 2-year-old winners. But as far as that, I don't know anyone that's gone better than them, except for, like you just said, the Snowdens in the Darley era, but they've got a big backing, don't they?
Ryan Moore's obviously coming over. Who are you, what's your point of call, Stormboy or Switzerland?
I get told what to do. I just do what I'm told, so we'll see what happens.
That's very a bit of Craig Williams about that. Very astute.
What will happen is, I suppose I'll give Stormboy a burn around on Saturday and see how he goes, and then obviously Switzerland has one more run in the Todman, which sounds like to be a
match race.
A hot race.
Get a fix or get it winded.
With Straight Charge and the other one, Espionage. So it's going to be a pretty good test. If he beats them guys, he's in the game for sure. So it's going to be it's like 2-year-old racing. Anything could happen from now to then.
As like the king of the jockeys in Australia, in a big race, is that Stormboy ride, one of the more intimidating rides for you? That like pace setting ride, as opposed to like jump, get my spot, read a race, build what I need to build, momentum. Like, to me, that's your bread and butter. You're the best at it. But riding a leader is a different beast all the same. Is it a bit more intimidating?
Well, I don't do it very often, do I? So so it's a new thing. But probably, I suppose, one thing you learn about who you ride for, I suppose. Chris is that sort of trainer, so you ride them accordingly. That's how he trains his horses. Switzerland's never been past a horse in a gallop, so and that's how you sort of ride them. And then Stormboy, obviously all Gay's lead, so it's going to be a little bit of a different scenario for myself, I suppose. But he's the right horse to do it on because from what I feel in the trial, he's just got that high cruising speed. He's quite easy to judge because he does it so easily and he quickens off that. So if there's a horse that's a good one to do it on, he is it. And hopefully I can do it all right. He'll do it justice anyway.
I've no doubt you can, but I just reckon it'll be a little bit more daunting, I guess, like out on your own, counting a little bit instead of just like reading it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because obviously every jockey's different, aren't they? And everyone, we're not all good at everything, and some are better at leaders, some are better at sitting off and judging pace that way. So yeah, it's definitely not my strongest point in terms of that's not how I normally ride, but I'll have to adjust, I suppose, and maybe take a beeper out with me and start counting.
It might be more daunting when Gay comes out to the 7 jockeys and tells 5 of them to lead.
No, I actually hope that happens because that will play right into my hands. I'll just be able to camp straight off and just suck along. But no, it'll be an interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But obviously, there's a lot of water to go under the bridge, especially with getting over the Skyline Stakes this weekend. You'd want them to. Obviously keep that picket fence going and see how it goes from there.
Yeah, I've seen you at Taylor Swift last night. How'd you go, mate? Did you
I was
some songs out?
I was busting moves and then Caitlin took a little video and Channel 7 got hold of it and I was thinking, oh no. It's pretty embarrassing, but anyway. It was good. It was a really good concert and mate, I just can't believe the fanfare. She's very, very good and she's a great performer, but just incredible. I've never seen so many people in one spot. It was amazing concert.
Swifty. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, neither.
Well, I've got Fangirl coming up, and she's the Tay-Tay of Australian racing, so I got to get in the mood.
You are all over it. You are all over it. James McDonald, thank you very much for joining us on the Early Crow. Best of luck on the weekend. Some big rides as the racing really heats up. We're cheering for you. Thanks for your time, my man.
Sweet, guys.
Thanks,
Anytime. Cheers, eh?
Thanks, J-Max.
Thanks, eh?
Great chat with James McDonald. We're going to head now and just look a little bit backwards and then forwards with the ponies with a Victorian focus, essentially. A huge Saturday at Caulfield. We had the Blue Diamond, the Oakley Plate. I thought the track raced reasonably well, Dan. There was certainly an on-pace inside advantage, but it wasn't significantly biased, I thought.
No, it's typical of this time of year. You know, you get hot days and firm tracks, and I thought it was fairly pace orientated how the races were run. You know, if they went slow up front, they kept going, and if they went too hard, they got home over the top of them. So I thought it raced pretty fair.
I think something that's missed a little bit too on the participants is that the track curators got 2 extra races to do than what they used to have to do, and they've got a track rating that's unnatural to get it to start at, and to expect it to race like a racetrack for 10 races is just unrealistic this time of year, especially.
Well, especially Thursday last week. Like, it was 38 degrees Wednesday and Thursday, and then Thursday it was like 50-kilometre winds. So, you know, they couldn't water, or it would have really created a bias. And then they're having to put a lot on Friday to make up for it. I thought they did a good job. You know, it's an outdoor sport. You know, fighting a losing battle, trying to turn out a soft track in the middle of sort of summer and autumn when you get 35-degree days during the week.
Well, what would you say ride of the day was on Saturday, the top sort of 3? I've got Celine Gaudreau's ride on Buffalo River, number 1.
Oh, it was a good one. Brian Higgins in the second.
Oh, Higo.
Good.
Like, if God exists, he wouldn't have predicted Higo going forward on that horse, I don't think.
No, well, not many people have the keys to that horse, but he seems to have worked it out and rated it perfectly and made it difficult for the short price favourite. So, yeah, I probably have to go with him.
Perhaps?
Hey, Sugi was elite because I was on it. But where my money is, but he just sat off and but thanks to Dicko. But yeah, that was just a beautiful ride. Take that every day of the week.
I thought D Lane's ride in the Blue Diamond was a peach. If John Allen doesn't go forward, I think Anisa wins. Outside of, like, if you got a horse in, Dan, or I'm looking to have a bet, outside of the obvious, the D Lanes, the Mark Zaras, maybe the Blake Shins, who do you think's the next sort of 2 or 3 riders that are hitting their straps and handling as the racing heats up right this time of year? And that's sort of when the Celine Gaudreau can sort of drop off. She's been enormous for about 3 months. I'd have her comfortably inside the top 5 riders in Victoria right now. What about you, outside the obvious 3?
I've had a bit of luck with Geordie Childs lately. I reckon he's pretty underrated. Bo Mertens was having a really good run and looking like he was going to take the next step before he got hurt. When Ethan Brown's on, he's really good. He's obviously had a rough 12 months and he's just starting to get back going. So, you know, I would say by the spring he'll be back up and rolling. But, you know, those other 2 younger boys, I think in the next 5 years we'll see them make that jump and start to replace your Willows and whatnot.
Willow. Yeah, we're going back over old ground here, but did you find it amazing that there was no criticism of John Allen's ride, same silk Spywire, compared to what was thrown at racing's greatest human being, Craig Williams?
Well, it's price sensitive, isn't it? No one cares if you do it on a 40-1 pot that can't win, compared to when you do it on a $1.24 pot, and don't go that fast, mind you, and it gets beat. Everyone blows up. You know, it's insane of anyone to pot jockeys publicly, especially trainers, because they get more opportunities to redeem themselves than we do. And sure enough, on Saturday, here's Willow straight to the 4, Group 1 again, bang.
Yeah.
That horse is unbelievable bright side, isn't it?
He's just the horse is a gun and almost in champion status. But Willow's just one of the nicest humans you'll ever meet. Never has a bad word to say about anyone. And twice in the last 6 months, people have wanted to publicly drag him over the coals. You know, I don't get it.
Both times, trainers and like the sort of public owner. I think it's a really stupid move to publicly criticise a ride after the race. Like, wait a day or two, analyse the information, then have a view if you want to have one. But I just think it's a short-sighted, dumb view for a public profile trainer or a participant who wants to be public. I think they all four have looked silly once the numbers have sort of come to the fore. I mean, that ride on Gig Kick that destroyed that horse, went way too fast, ended up being a really good platform for another horse called Imperatrice.
It's emotional based too. You know, straight after the race, you've gone there expecting to win. It hasn't gone your way. But like I've seen a few people with their heads screwed on said, if you want a jockey to go out there and ride to the actual T of your instructions, you put your stable jockey on. You don't put a Lane or a Zara or a Carr or a Malin or a Willow on, because you don't give those jockeys instructions. They've done all the form, they know what they're doing. And like you said, once the data started to come out over the next few days, the horse had every chance.
Yeah, that's what I think. So if you're going to have an opinion or a statement, you've got to have something to back it up, I don't know, say you're right or have some depth in your statement or opinion. You can't just go out willy-nilly having this opinion or a statement and you don't have anything to fall back on. That's it's with footy, it's with everything, it's with racing, it's with cricket, footy, it's all sports, or any opinions. You've got to be able to have something to fall back on.
Especially because like that stable's going to have so many like horses over the next 2 or 3 years, and probably those connections that are lightweights in good races. And who do you want to ride that horse in Victoria? It's Craig Williams. And the last time he put him on and he showed some initiative, you torched him. It's not a good setup for success for your rider. Like Dan just said, you're putting on these tippy-top riders to show some initiative and read a race. Oh, we've jumped well, so I'm going to just roll here. Like those sort of things you want these good riders doing, and if you're torching them, you're killing them confidence-wise with your stable and your connections.
I understand what they were saying, like the horse isn't mature enough and experienced enough yet to lead and continue to run. They would have preferred with a couple to chase. That's fine. So you screw the jockey down to the instructions a bit more. But he showed his initiative, rolled forward from a wide gate, didn't go overly quick, and it's taken a horse first up to run a career first up PB to beat him by a neck. If that doesn't happen and he wins, everyone's saying he's a genius. No story here, yeah. Like out of the equation from the wide gate, rolled forward, race was over after 600 metres.
That's why you put these guys on.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. But that small margin of a neck of Macram coming from the clouds and running a career PB, and the narrative's completely different. Like, I learnt one thing from Weary, and he always used to say, something like that happened, wasn't good enough. Had our chance, weren't good enough.
Yeah. What else has been happening in racing, Dan, from your point of view, that's got you going?
Oh, I haven't got too many superstars at the minute, so just been enjoying watching the good races. The 2-year-olds, they're exciting. You know, it's like unwrapped Christmas presents for kids. You know, you see these 2-year-olds, for punters. 2-year-olds haven't had 1 or 2 starts, and, you know, everyone talks about how good they could be or how disappointing they might be. And, yeah, it's just exciting watching a young horse with ability start to shape its career.
Any Victorian horses, probably from the Blue Diamond, you think can go to Sydney and be competitive in the Golden Slipper?
Nah.
Bang.
Yeah, saving.
Well, J-Mac said it, like, Spywire had a PR in the Magic Millions, got beat 6 lengths. It got absolutely torched in the Blue Diamond, got beat 4. Like, You know, I think that Hayasugi's tough as old boots, and Lady of Camelot, they're probably the 2, but, you know, if they can run top 5, they've done a good job.
Spywire's probably cost Lady of Camelot a little bit, by chasing a little bit. It's only lost to half a head.
I actually thought if Spywire doesn't run or goes back and snicks, that it sets up the race for Anisa or Kayanugi to run over the top of Lady of Camelot on a softer tempo. I think the horses behind Lady of Camelot were like just that half a outside of their comfort zone, which took the zing out of their legs late. But yeah, we'll never know. Oakley Plate. Look, one of the great training performances of all time. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but there's two of them, the trainers.
Shane
They train the
Cassidy,
winner.
Oxlade.
Yeah, the Oxlades, they train the winner, and I think they train the run of the race as well in Stripper. Some bubbles got burst in the Oakley Plate there.
They did. It's good to see Harry Coffey get another Group 1.
Well, it depends how you bet in the race, but yeah, well, happy for Harry.
Betting aside. So, Harry won an SA Oaks, as we know, which is a Group 1 a few years ago. And
Suppressor?
Suppressor. He went down to Mercedes and bought a Merc, and the dealership told him, if you win a Group 1, we'll make you an ambassador. And he chirped up, he said, I've won one. They said, what'd you win? He said, South Australian Oaks. They said, when you win a real one, ring us back. So after he won on Saturday, I just shot him a text. I said, you've won a real one, now go get your Mercedes gear.
That's awesome.
That's good.
Has he sorted that out?
He will. So I've hung shit on him for about ever since then. I think it's been nearly 6 or 7 years.
So yeah, bubbles burst though. What happened? What do you think happened?
Well, I'm joining in the narrative that the 3-year-old crop we've got aren't up to competing against the open age horses. I think we've seen enough evidence now that they're just not. They're good to watch against each other, but when they dip the toe in the pool of running against the older horses, they're probably just an average bunch.
And they're probably not up against it, like, outside of Fangirl and Brightside, there's not many, like, weight for age superstars in Australia either. So they are, I'd say that helps your argument that they're below average, below par.
Well, especially that horse on Saturday,
King's Gambit's a horse we're talking about.
Yeah. I can't come at him again. He had 50 kilos. He had the absolute dream saloon passage, and he wasn't there to take the gap for her. He's just continual disappointment, that horse.
That's two sort of letdowns in big Group 1s in recent weeks for Jamie. She had the sort of the ride on the single figure pot versus Imperatriz in I'm Unstoppable. My mail is that the trainer might have headed to Vegas a week out from that grand final, which is, if true, staggering. That horse failed her, and then King's Gambit. It's kind of job done for that horse now. What do they do with it?
I think she gave King's Gambit every conceivable chance. The horse just wasn't there for her.
And the other one as well.
The other bloke, he had an issue post-race. And like what you said about one of the trainers going away, Lucy's extremely good at what she's doing. I would have had no issues with that. I just think the horse had an issue out of the race. And even if it didn't, the first two home, Private Eye and Imperatriz, they just got panels on them 3-year-olds anyway.
Do you take any notice if King's Gambit decides to go north again? I mean, got beat 2.8 lengths in the Poseidon first up last start, then went up and won the Roman Console and beat a horse called Osmosis, which came out and won down the Flemington Straight. Do you care, or are you just letting it go?
Well, back to its own age, absolutely. Like, what's that 3-year-old sprint, the Arrowfield sprint?
Arrowfield, yeah.
Unless Osmosis is going there, I could come at King's Gambit in that, but against the older horses, regardless of what weight it's getting, I can't have it again.
Do you think it's got the better form lines or the more upside, or something like a Learning to Fly?
Well, that's a tough one. You haven't sort of seen the girls take on the open age girls, have we? So, it's a bit hard to rule the 3-year-old fillies out. They've sort of just stayed in their lane, and some years you'll see one tackle the mares race at the Flemington Carnival, but that didn't happen this year. So, until we sort of get some evidence of them taking them on, I could accommodate a militarised once they get out further over a mile, but I think these ones over your 6 and 7 furlongs, against their own age, no worries, but against the older horses, you're going to leave me out. I'd still love to have one good enough to run those 3-year-old races.
How good do you reckon Stripper is and could be?
He's a ripper, isn't he? He just continues to improve. It was shuddering to see him miss the start on Saturday. But I don't reckon he's good enough to win a new market, but if they freshen him up for the Goodwood, geez, he'd be hard to beat.
I think he's a player in any Group 1 in Australia. 1,200 metres is his trip. That run he had, and he was like the best closer in that race, covering ground. He would have covered 1,250 metres in that race. I think it's a huge, huge performance. He's got these like sustained now, big, fatty numbers, benchmarks he's run. Somewhat upside. I think he's potentially a pretty special horse stripper. Have you got one for the punter listening at home that might be going around in the near future from your stable? We had you on last time. I think we just missed out on the Ollie. Might have been Ollie, might not have been Ollie. The Bendigo, Fortunate Kiss or something like that. We missed that. But have you got one for us this week?
We filmed like the day after it, I reckon.
Yeah.
And what we did get though was it Trust Fall that came out and won?
Yeah, I said I had one going to Hamilton the next week.
Yeah.
Having its second start.
Yep.
And it was like 30s into 11s.
Yep.
And sailed up. Yeah, Friday night at the Valley. Horse that won at Colac last start called Prickly Prince. You watch the replay, you have to watch the horse because the caller can't see the horse through all the marquees. The good man TB, we'll forgive
Golden
him for
tonsils.
that. But he didn't see the horse coming from the tower before it was five in front. Called him going over.
Has there been? Is there a better like on-air talent hosting was on Racing.com or in Racing TV than TB in your opinion?
I love Tuesdays with Terry because he asks real questions. None of that the computer robot questions that going to get the boring answers. He asks proper questions. I don't know who his research man is, but yeah, he throws a few curly questions into him.
All right, so Prickly Prince potentially goes around Friday night at the Valley on the 28-year-old Strathair.
Yeah,
That's
I've got one tomorrow night.
Oh,
Keatsy boy. Keatsy boy.
for Veggie Boy.
The veggie
I think he's.
boy.
I think he's had one or two trials. I think we found a really nice race for him. Very hard to line up the Tassie form and the sort of ratings they get and give. But I think he'd be pretty hard to beat. Willow thinks so. He's racing's greatest human beings decide to get on the Spirit of Tasmania. Probably more likely a Virgin flight. And he's going down to ride him. So we just pray to God. Did you get down to you didn't go to the Tassie sale this year? One of the great routes of all time, Dan. And there's like a crew of Victorian trainers that used to go down and play Barn Bugle as a group, perhaps. Like real raw areas. Phenomenal behaviour. Did you go? You didn't go this year?
Nah, we would get Magic Millions to fly us over on the Saturday and pay for the hire cars, and then we'd go play Barnbougle on the Sunday, and then go to the sale on the Sunday afternoon.
That's good stuff.
Cotton on and cut us off.
I exposed them accidentally. I was walking off. I played around with my brother and a mate. We were down there, and I was coming off the 18th, and they were all warming up in the bar before they even started. So I don't even know if that Sunday afternoon is actually that true, because you're kicking off about 1 p.m.
Yeah, maybe we see the horses Monday morning.
How have the sales been?
Yeah, I didn't go to the Magic Millions Gold Coast or Karaka. Went to Sydney, bought a couple of cheapies, but it's been viable. But I think that's a reflection on the economy. You know, it's going to be tough to be selling shares down to your mums and dads this year. You know, when there's people battling to put food on the table and petrol in the car, it's a bit hard to ask them to go and share in a racehorse, isn't it?
100%. Got to buy like at a price, don't you? Should we start talking about NBA? Praddy, can you recap us, the listener, on Dan's early suggested plays into futures markets, prices taken, and where they sit currently?
Yeah, I think there's a few you can forget, which might have got lost somewhere, and I just don't know what they are, so we'll just let them one go. But I think the two main ones, that especially the one that you're bullish on Maxi, I think we had Maxi $3 to be most improved. He's at $1.36 currently with the blue team. And then you've got Nikola Jokic was $5 when Dan tipped him to us, and he's currently at $1.53 for MVP. So, A, question, have you laid any off on Betfair? And B, how do you feel about your two bets absolutely steaming?
I'm quietly confident at the moment, but what can happen with the MVP race? It happened last year. The American media, they get on board someone else and they push their agenda through the media, and because it's a voted award and half of the votes are by media personalities, last year you're seeing Jokic was the similar price a month, 6 weeks out, and it completely flipped around to Joel Embiid and he won the award last year. So I think Joel getting injured this year's helped us. I thought he was on his way to winning it until he got injured. But geez, the way Jokic has come back after the All-Star break, it's going to be hard to not give him the award. And Maxi's flying, especially even more now with Joel going down. He's having to have 30, 35 points a game. He's just playing his backside off. The team's not much good without Embiid, but he's doing his best.
With Jokic, what's your plan? Obviously, you're on at fives, and you might be on even better for yourself. Are you going to potentially lay any off, or are you just going to let that one ride?
I might sprinkle a little bit on Luka. I don't really feel like SGA can win it this year, but Luka potentially could if the media get behind him. I'm on Maxi at 10s. I don't think I'll be laying off there. I think he's home and hose. But yeah, maybe a little bit on the Jokic bet.
I saw a bit of Allen Iverson and Shaq gear on Twitter or Instagram yesterday, giving Luka a bit of a push. So it could be starting to build.
I think a big problem with it is that, those media personalities, they don't have time to watch all the games. They just check the box scores and they'll watch the main games. Oklahoma are never on TV, so no one knows who half the Oklahoma players are except Josh Giddey for other reasons and SGA.
Let that one go, please. I don't want to edit the show.
Denver's similar. Denver's hardly ever on TV. Like the other day, Jokic had 15, 15 and 15, and then he backed it up yesterday against Golden State and had something like 27, 16 and 16. And no one says boo in the media about it because the expectations of what he's going to do has just risen. Which is unfair. He's clearly the best player in the league.
What do you think of Wembanyama after the All-Star break? He's turned it on a little bit. I think he was the youngest player to get a 5x5. That's 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 blocks, and 5 steals. And his stat line that night was 27 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 blocks, and 5 steals. Are we seeing?
I did that once on NBA 2K.
Yeah,
actually.
Me too. I turned the cheats on as well. I made everybody else smaller and me bigger, and I dominated. But
I still remember it was a big night in the shed.
Is he the real deal?
Yeah, I think so. I wasn't sure coming in, coming from playing in the French league, only 30 game seasons, to coming into playing 80 something games. But look, they're managing him. He sits out every second night, but they've let him rip now since the All-Star break, and what he can do in just a quick spurt of 7 or 8 minutes is ridiculous.
It's amazing how well he moves for how big he is. It's actually incredible.
Did you see early in the season he rolled his ankle on a ball boy, and it was like his Gumby or something just made of rubber, it just didn't even bother him. They showed the slow-mo full rolled ankle and he just walked it off.
Do you find it interesting that the top 4 or 5 players in the NBA now aren't American?
Not really. You think those guys playing now, 20 years ago, they were probably motivated by watching guys like Dirk Nowitzki, Paul Gasol, Tony Parker, those guys. Manu, he's Argentinian, but in the same thing.
Yeah.
They grew up watching those guys, and and it probably showed them, shit, if I'm good enough, I can make it. So that was who they sort of looked up to. So it's no surprise now that 20 years down the line, the Europeans are dominating.
Looking at the NBA season as a whole, who do you like moving forward? It looks lean to me.
Yeah, look, the West is very competitive. I had something on Minnesota at 15s to win the West. I think they're into about 9 now. And I've had something on the Clippers to win it all at about 7s. They're into 6. I think it's probably Boston that's going to come out of the East unless Milwaukee can get their act together. Embiid going down, they were probably the only real challenger to Boston. And New York have had a few injuries to key players. They've been really good without them, but it's going to be hard for the likes of Julius Randle to come back from a dislocated shoulder and have any real impact in the last couple of weeks. So you're probably looking at a Boston and maybe a Denver and the Clippers, or Minnesota hopefully. I think Oklahoma have been great. Whether they've got the experience come playoffs time, they didn't really add a big body to sort of combat with your Anthony Davises and your Jokic's and your Rudy Gobert's. They haven't really got anyone to play against them. So that might hurt them in the playoffs.
I think it'd be a miss from us if we didn't talk about LeBron James almost getting to 40,000 points. He has to be the conversation for the greatest of all time, doesn't he? It has to now be him.
Oh, it's definitely in the conversation. Everyone says it's between him and Jordan, and look, what he's done is ridiculous. 40,000 points and the longevity, how well he's looked after his body. But I always look back to that. He's like 6'9", he's 275 pounds, and he's built like a Mike Tyson in his prime. Whereas Jordan was like 6'6", 210 pounds. He just had big hands and was the most athletic person in his era. Like, he was just the first of his kind. No one had seen him do what he could do, and he dominated. And I always thought LeBron's grown up watching that, learning from that, and then he's turned it into his own thing. I don't know. I don't like to compare eras, but
Yep.
I think they're 1A and 1B for sure. Didn't you grow up watching Jordan and wearing the Chicago gear? You had one of those puffer jackets from the Bulls days, those starter jackets, didn't you?
Nah, I was Shaq. Everyone else was Jordan. I was Shaq.
Everyone either had a Bulls one, a Magic one, or a Hornets one, didn't they?
Yeah, I was Magic. Yeah, I love Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, he was good. He was real good. That 30 for 30 with him and Shaq is real good.
It is good.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
All right.
You're not old enough for this, Pap, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm well before that time. After that time, sorry.
You're not that into your NBA though, as a rule, are you?
No, I don't. I don't know. A lot of the boys actually get right into it, but to be honest, I wouldn't have seen a shot this year. I don't know. I've just never really got into it. I find it hard to because it's everyday sort of stuff. Obviously, Dan loves it, but unless you're sort of following it every day and things like that, you sort of fall behind. That's what I found. I sort of tried to do some fantasy stuff, but then I just fall behind on that. Wouldn't keep up, and my team was stuff. So then I just said, "Oh, stuff it. Don't worry about it."
I think that's a big edge the NFL has, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
the
what I was
shortest,
about to say.
sharper season. You know, like
It's not like Home and Away where you can miss 5 episodes and then come back the next Monday and they're still going on the same rubbish, is it?
yeah,
Yeah.
It probably doesn't work good for you time-wise either. Like, you're probably training in the middle of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard. Like Juzzy loves it. Juzzy, he's sick for it. He's a big Celtics man actually, Juzz. So he's happy at the moment. That's why I got into NFL this year a bit more than usual because of the stuff we do. But just it's easier to keep up with. Like, it's on the weekends, like on the Monday morning. Just the short, sharp season. It's good. AFL would be nice like that.
that's what I love about golf, Dan. Like, you know, tomorrow afternoon I'll start looking at a couple of things on Twitter and a little bit of a story somewhere about what this course offers this week and form a view Thursday and then have a few bets. and then just wake up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, see if I'm in the tournament, and then Monday morning, if I'm in the game, I'll watch it. But then I can have the rest of the week off it. I kind of get what Paps is saying. If you dive into the NBA like you have, it kind of doesn't stop, does it?
No, it's full blown, but it suits me because I finish work and then have that midday break when it's on, so it suits. But do you guys think that the designated events the PGA's brought in is killing the normal events? Like, look at the weekend just gone. Like, it's almost like watching reserves.
It was.
You know,
you're watching a Finnish guy.
The sponsors are going to drop off.
Yeah, you're watching a guy from Finland play a guy who hadn't won on the tour before, 4 shots clear of other guys that aren't in the mix normally, and we've got the same purse this week, but this week heads into the Arnold Palmer, which is worth maybe 20 million, and then into the Players, which is worth 25. It's like the 5th major, and so I think Rory and they'll play this week because they want to get their eye in for the big prize money 2 tournaments. But I think they have no choice but to do a deal with the Live, because it's significantly inferior to what it was, and there's nothing like it's already inferior. And then if Live go Rory, if they got Rory, Victor, or one other tippy top dude, or 2 of them, it's game set match for me. Which could end up being a phenomenal thing, because how much better is watching golf if there was 2 of the top tier events in Australia every year, a couple in Europe, like a couple in England, heaps in Europe, and American swing. That would be a better product for the game, and I reckon there's a chance it's going to head that way now.
It's a hard one. Like, I understand what Liv's doing, and I love the shotgun start because, you know, everyone's playing. It's whatever 5 hours it takes. People are time poor these days. Who the hell's got time to go to a PGA event, watch Rory tee off at 8 a.m. and then hang around and watch Scotty Scheffler tee off at 2 p.m. and finish at 7 o'clock? Like, it's like racing.
I can't drink for that long without passing out anyway. If I went, I've only watched the Masters, like solely watch, but I watch golf every week. But it's like on a TV whilst I'm doing
on the
work.
back room.
Isn't that Masters the greatest invention of all time?
Yeah.
You tried on Friday to drink that long, let's just be clear.
And I failed.
It's also the PGA. There's 2 amateurs that have won this year already. I think that goes to show where the level is at. I suppose this...
Yeah, like we've got 12 blokes, Dan, tipping three players a week, and we've got one winner in about 10 weeks between us. Yep. Apart from Praddy's disgraceful top 10s. But like, we've been tipping all... We can't find the winner, and the average price is about $94.
You got to get involved in some of those top 10, top 20 bets. That's what you got to get involved in.
Oh, don't bring up the fucking wall, mate. Do not bring up the wall.
What about he had old Big Charlie Hoffman in his green glove top 10, and he would have been paying hundreds. And if the eventual winner, forgotten his name, the Canadian, if he didn't play one of the great final 4 holes of his life, Hoffman would have won.
Nick Taylor, yeah.
Oh, Nick Taylor, yeah. Disgraceful from Praddy.
No, I think they're ruining it. And I reckon the players talk about the money way too much. Like, they're starting to become out of touch with the reality and the fan, because they're talking about how much they're playing for and how much and the money and all that, just far too much. It's just, you know, they've sort of lost me, the PGA Tour.
And the cost of each event would be identical.
Yeah.
And if they keep providing an inferior product every second week, like you said, there's no way, like, you know, like this event that's on this weekend has got a new name this year. It used to be the Honda Classic.
Yep.
I don't know if that means Honda's dropped off, but...
Yeah, Honda dropped off. That was their last year. So they're looking for a major sponsor. I'm not sure who's sponsoring this year, but Honda, that had been the Honda Classic for as long as I can remember. and because it was not a designated event, they dropped off.
It's the Cognizant Classic this week. They're an information technology company. There you go.
Oh, that'll get plenty of traffic to their website.
Sure.
Right, let's finish off the show with a recap of some Swans gear. Pracky match last week, Thursday, the deck outside the SCG, Tom. Close to a full strength side versus the GWS Giants. I watched it. Beautiful coverage there on Fox Footy. Das, very, very excited to see big fat Tommy do his thing. Almost ruined one of my TVs with the amount of finger touching that went on when you came on, which is a problem I'm going to have to figure out how to handle. But geez, the boys, they looked good. They improved throughout, and everyone looked extremely tired after about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was nice to play against some opponents rather than yourselves. So it was good to get against the Giants boys. We played pretty well. It was a lot of things we've been working on the pre-season come to fruition, that's a big word for me. But we played well. We sort of died off a little bit in the last quarter, sort of getting a bit hot and tired, and a few boys went off, but we were pretty good throughout, and some good players played really well. I think Brody Grundy was really good first time in the jumper, and it was a practice game, but it's always nice to get that one away. Chatty Warner was elite. He's going to be some player in it. Yeah, he's going to be some player. He already is a really good player, but yeah, in the next few years, he's really one to watch out for. I think has a lot of really nice traits, a lot of dusty about him, and yeah, I really like him as a player. And then obviously just the standard ones, the Errolls, and he only played a half. I think he had 20 touches, and yeah, so there's some boys that played really nicely, and looking forward to Thursday night against the Lions, which is another good test for us.
I heard a stat about Errol. I think he came on with 2 minutes to go in the first half, and he had 6 touches in 2 minutes. So he hadn't played the full half, and then by the time, so he came on with 2 minutes to go in the first half, and then already had 6 touches by the time he got off the ground. That's putting your foot down. Practice match game 1.
Well, when you have a look at him, he's a freak runner. And let alone when we've already played a half of footy, when he comes on fresh, he's even a better runner. So you can't really stop him.
Yeah.
And it was hot. So yeah, he played pretty well. But yeah, it's exciting. It's always good when you start off well, and I know it's a practice match, but yeah, it's nice to start well.
The Melbourne import I thought was outstanding.
Yeah, Jimmy, he's we've had some nice pickups, but he's sort of the one that's just under the covers. Has always had the big names of Grundy and Adams, and so Jimmy's the one that's sort of slid under the radar, and that's the way he is. He's a great kid, goes about his business, smart footy player, and he'll just go about his business, and he'll keep racking up his 20 to 25 each week and play a good role for us. So it's another little one we've found there, so it's good. And it's when you think these are the ones you got to find. Like he's been playing in the. I think he played in the. We did play in the grand final as a sub, but like he's nearly playing in that midfield with Petrarca, Oliver, Viney. Like they're superstars, and he's pushing against their spot. So of course he was going to come to our club and go well.
I'll tell you who didn't go under the covers, old Justin Juzzy McInerney. Geez, he got tired and a little bit sloppy. Tried to take a few heads off. Yeah, man.
Did he? Jeez, the Jazz.
He sort of committed to a line. They just did a little bit of a left or a right foot, and he thought, well, you're not going to get past me, so I'll just give you a free kick. Nothing vicious, nothing dirty, but just to sort of like, here you go.
So it's funny. The Juzzy's got a strut and thinks he's pretty good the best of times. But when he was starting inside midfield, I've never seen a strut walk out the team meeting room thinking, oh, geez, I'm starting inside mid today, boys. Like, it just usually starts on the wing. He doesn't move off the wing. But when his horse put him starting inside midfield, I sit next to him in the meeting, he just looks at me and just this little like knuckle, like little fist knuckle just next to me. Just a little knuckle. Just to say, I'm starting inside, mate. It was funny. But no, he's going well, Jazz. It's good.
Do you get a third gear yourself or what?
No, it was good. Good little blowout. yeah, it was just stayed up forward. Might have a little run around the midfield tomorrow night. We'll see what happens, but yeah, it's good to get a blowout. It's always tough. You don't want to go full steam ahead, but you want to get in some good form and get a few kicks to really kickstart your campaign.
Is goal kicking a little bit like golf? You went back and you slotted a fairly sizable set shot, just and straight away. Just off and went. Like it was a pre-game, pre-season sort of celebration, but there was still like you pointed to no one as soon as you left the boot. Does that give you a bit of like? I thought it was a point.
Like it to me.
No, it was more like.
It looked like Praddy. I filmed it because that's when Darcy goes.
Yeah,
that's
it
big
looked
Tommy.
like it to me. There was definitely a big. Here you go, on. He pointed to the empty stand. It was good.
Maybe he went to point and then sort of. Oh, it is only a pracky and didn't point, but he went to point. I knew it had gone through. But does that give you a bit of confidence, set shot wise, or does it not really matter?
I wasn't pointing, but anyway. Yeah, it's alright. I don't know. I'm bloody hit and miss with the goal kicking, so when they go through, I'm happy. I can hit them well some days. It is like golf. Hit them well some days, and then I couldn't hit a barn door, so it's always nice when the first one goes through.
And for anyone not, obviously, hopefully, most people listening to this are over 18, but younger blokes, what sort of boots, what sort of wheels are you operating?
Nikes, mate, of course. Best boots in the business. Shout out to Nike. Yeah,
but like, is there a version of?
Yeah, well, Phantoms I'm rolling at the moment. There's Tiempos, Phantoms, some Mercurials. I think Warner runs the Mercurials. I'm a Phantom man. Same with Errol. They're good, but no, I've been a bit of a I won't say the word, but I've been around the traps with my boots, so I'm glad to be sticking with Nike for the next few years.
I love you.
Have the mids said how much of a difference it is having a ruckman who just puts it in the bread basket every time? No disrespect to Tommy Hickey, but Brodie Grundy's a premiership ruckman. Like, he's going to be putting it on point 90% of the time. Have they noticed the big difference through your practice sessions?
Yeah, I definitely have, mate. It's always nice going to a stoppage and knowing you're going to win it rather than getting someone's back shoulder. I usually just get on the fly and go through, so it's always nice that way. But no, you do. He's just a big human, and he's just so strong. He's just like puts his arms up, taps it where you want it. It's nice. He's a good fellow. He's his own, bees himself, which we love. He's got some great content out there, so give him a follow on the Instagram. He's a funny man on the socials, but yeah, he's a very, very good player, and not many blokes move like he does on the footy field for how big he is. He has running bounces as a ruckman, so that says something. I don't know if Horse will probably tell him to pull it in a couple of weeks, but yeah.
All right. I think I'll do us. That's been another big fat episode at the Early Crow. It's episode 20 or 21, I reckon. We had J Mac on to kick us off. Dan Bowman, outstanding trainer, great judge, NBA man, sat through it all with us. We knocked off the Swans at the back end. They sound like they are up and about. Pracky game upcoming before they head into round 0, not round 1, round 0, versus the Demons. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the show. We'll be back across our socials all over the weekend. The golf's coming on Thursday. They're not at the Honda Classic, but they're at what was the Honda Classic. And surely someone can jag a winner this week. We had Logan McDonald just miss with the Finnish man, who was tied for the lead through 7 on Sunday. And as always, we'll have eyes on ponies Saturday sometime. We'll have bets and sets at the Melbourne and the Sydney track. We're adding in quaddies now and a couple of all-ups. I hope you have a phenomenal weekend. Dan, thank you so much for joining us again at the Early Crow. Welcome back anytime. We'd love to have you. Paps, good luck tomorrow night. Go well. And Praddy, you just keep doing you. Keep correcting us when we get things wrong. That's what we need from you. And if you're out there, have a phenomenal week. Bye for now.